Welcome. I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. Grab a notepad, grab a pen, because I want you to take notes. We've got lots to cover today. I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you will jot down some sort of action item that you can implement in your business today, because that's what this is all about. We need to implement things and drive your business forward. Now, today I want to talk about 3 reasons that you should start a business, and that's for those budding entrepreneurs who are considering throwing their hat in the ring, or 3 reasons that you may wish to change your business. So if you are already an entrepreneur, you already have a business and you're thinking, oh, I don't need to start a business, I have a business, stay tuned, because we want to think of the ways that these same 3 reasons may impact your desire to change your business. All right, so these 3 reasons are passion. We can think about that. You know that people are passionate and they start businesses because of passion. Solving a problem, of course, that makes sense, solving a problem, or improving upon an existing solution to a problem or an existing technology. And again, I will reiterate that these are good reasons to start a business or to consider amending, adjusting, innovating, improving your business. So let's cover them one at a time, take a little deeper dive on each of them. The first one is passion. You know, that statement you might say, I absolutely love doing this. So this is very common. You can think of many people. When I think of common examples of people who may have started businesses out of passion, you think of artisans, people who are maybe craftspeople and they start making things. Maybe it was a hobby at one point and then they found that people were interested and they started selling, and maybe they went out to a flea market or a craft fair or something like that, and all of a sudden it grew and they have a full-on business with this. So artisans, think of photographers, people who have a passion for photography. Sometimes they decide to start a business from that. Other examples that come to mind for me are healthcare. So people who really have a passion for helping other people, often they'll go to school and decide to get involved with the healthcare industry in some way. Nursing, doctors, dentists, physiotherapists, chiropractors, all sorts of veterinarians, all sorts of different ways to get involved in the healthcare industry. Fitness is another big one, and that was one that I pursued many years ago. And or pets. So animal lovers might decide that they want to get involved and start a business that in some way has to do with pets, maybe the dog walking business or some sort of pet supplies, a pet store, and so on. So these are passions, and people who really love something decide that they're going to get involved. I remember, I think it was Wayne Gretzky who quipped many years ago that he never practiced a day in his life. And what he was referencing is his love of the game. So his father couldn't get him off the ice many years ago as a child. He was always out there, and his professional teammates used to comment that he was the first person on the ice at practice, the last person off the ice. And his observation was that if you love something enough, it'll never feel like work. And to him, it didn't feel like practice. So of course, he may have practiced more than anyone in the history of the sport, but to him, his comment was, I never practiced a day in my life, and it was because of how much he loved it. I was at the World Business Forum in Manhattan many years ago, and they asked, there was this question and answer forum as well, and the moderator would ask the various business gurus, very successful people, any advice they would give, you know, universally to people. And time and again, and it seemed like a theme, and I don't think they were copying one another. These were not, this was not a panel. These were expert speakers that came out one at a time, and yet the theme seemed to be that the advice that they would give, certainly to young people, but to everyone present, was to follow your passion and the money will follow. Conversely, they would advise you not to pursue money as a means unto itself. Instead, follow your passion and the money will follow. Yet I know that Scott Galloway, a very famous marketer and professor at NYU, he has a video in which he advised young people, do not follow your passion. That's just bad advice. I think of Robert Kiyosaki and how he talks about that you might need to employ yourself and find a job that will fund your ability to start businesses on the side. So that might be a bit of a hybrid. And another very famous marketer, Seth Godin, he talks about your uniqueness as an individual is your product. He talks about that no one in the world is as good at being you as you are. And he talks about that uniqueness insofar as it can be marketed and does provide value. You should stick to that, and you get this smaller and smaller piece of the pie. You get a smaller and smaller market that you're appealing to. That's the niche you're pursuing, but you get a larger and larger share of that market. So these are all different opinions on the subject and how it might relate to business. And I would ask you to consider the question, do you have sufficient passion for something that may create value in the marketplace? And for those of you who already have businesses, are you applying your current passions to your existing business? Maybe you didn't start your business out of passion. It may have started for another reason. You may have reactively, some people inherited businesses, or they started as an employee of a business and became an owner, and this kind of thing. And did you develop a passion, or do you have passions that might really improve your business and lead to innovation? So consider that. I would caution you though, many people have sort of destroyed their passions by turning them into businesses. And you have to again ask yourself the question, is passion alone going to enable me to build a viable business and sustain a business over time? And a lot of people, they get into business, you think of the artisan, maybe a jewelry maker or something like that. And then all the other parts of business start to come down, and it's like, well, I envisioned myself sitting in my shop making these one-of-a-kind pieces and getting commissioned to do special jewelry for engagement rings and so on. And then, because of the accounting involved and because of the various things of marketing my products and everything, it just sort of bogged down, and I became contemptuous or resentful towards business in general, and it sort of spoiled my hobby. I've seen this, I've witnessed this with entrepreneurs. So that's certainly something BMI can help with. In fact, that's one of the primary axioms on which we founded our business, is to be able to allow you to focus on what you do best, and we can handle the peripherals of business. So give some consideration to whether or not you are an entrepreneur who will start a business based on passion, and what will you do to mitigate those things that are your weaknesses and those parts of a business that can detract from your passion, so that you don't lose that. So that's the first one, passion. And just as you can think of that first reason, passion, as being associated with a statement, I absolutely love this, the second one is, I hate when this happens. That's the statement that describes solving a problem. Now, I recall many years ago listening to a very successful entrepreneur and speaker and author named Paul Zane Pilzer, and he was reflecting and communicating the notion that wherever there is a problem, there is a business. And when you're experiencing a problem, think about that you represent a segment of the marketplace. You aren't the only person experiencing that problem. Other people feel like you do. You represent them in the market. And to the degree that you can find a solution that works, you have a business idea. And I remember thinking that, oh, that's a really great idea. And so this is the second way that people decide to start businesses, is on the notion that something drives you nuts. I hate when this happens. So think about those things that really drive you nuts, and why do these are persistent or recurring problems that businesses have. There may be a business opportunity there to solve that problem for the market. But again, if you're already in business, I want you to ask yourself, Are you experiencing, or are your customers rather, experiencing recurring persistent problems associated with your industry, or perhaps your business or products or services that you offer? You might think of these things as, well, these are outside of my control. This isn't my business, but my industry has this because of government regulations or whatever. Ask yourself, put yourself empathically in the shoes of your customers. Are they experiencing problems that might invite new entrants into business that compete with you or provide an alternative, a substitution to your service because of those problems? So just as we said at the beginning, that today's discussion isn't just for budding entrepreneurs. For you as an existing business owner, are you tolerating problems, or are you existing in an environment where there's really frustrating, persistent, recurring problems that customers experience, and you're just sort of turning a blind eye to those, thinking that it's always been that way, it always will, and someone will come along and solve that? And what will that mean to your business and to your market? Will you end up losing market share in some way? Is there, as they call it, a pivot or a sideline business, or even a whole new business idea staring you in the face? And maybe it's even a better opportunity. Is there something like that that exists? I think if you try to think of examples, sometimes it is those with particular specialized knowledge or a lot of experience within an industry who come up with these pivots, who come up with these new ideas, because they're solving a problem that they deal with day in and day out. And other times it is somebody outside of the industry, a customer who's never worked in that industry whatsoever, but experiences the problem, and they have a fresh perspective and out of the box thinking. And that's where the new business idea is generated from. And so as examples, I think construction and contractors and subcontractors, these are people who often will create innovative ideas for new tools, new materials, new processes to make their lives much easier. And I've been to these trade shows where these guys are representing their tools, and no longer are they doing that job. Maybe they were an electrician or a framer or a plumber or something, and now they're in the business of marketing this new tool to all those people that are in that industry. They're representing the latest tool that they created. They invented something out of their own need. They solved a problem. They had all that experience and inside information, and now they've created a business that they can market to others who do what they used to do. So is there something like that for you? Or is there something, maybe a product or service on the side that you can offer that solves a problem in your industry, solves a problem that you're experiencing? Another, the outside the box and fresh perspective that I think of is, what about Netflix or Amazon or Tesla? I mean, Jeff Bezos did not have years and years of experience being the CEO of, Barnes and Noble or one of the great big book companies, Chapters, Indigo, these types of companies, when he decided to start retailing books to end consumers. And Elon Musk wasn't an automotive industry veteran with years. He certainly wasn't a NASA guy that spent years experiencing issues as it relates to outer space, but somebody looking from the outside in, just as the founder of Netflix did, was able to see an opportunity to pivot, or an opportunity to take advantage of new technologies to create that solution for the marketplace in a different way. And we know how those companies have done. So give some thought to this. And when you think, well, I have a business and you're running according to the status quo, are you vulnerable? And the third one, which is improving upon an existing solution or existing technology, that statement might be, I can do it better. So you just look at something, you look at some business out there and you just think to yourself, you know what? I can't believe how successful they are. I can do that better. Maybe you have a better recipe, you have a better process. And what I would do to encourage you to think about this, if you're going to start a business because you believe you can do something better, or if you think you might need to change your business because it can be done better, is reference back to the 4 constituents of value, that being customer experience, convenience, quality, and pricing. So maybe you can do it better, or maybe you can do it cheaper. Maybe you can do it better insofar as customers enjoy the experience much better. Examples of this would be a lot of businesses who took it online, who took their typical businesses that were done some kind of retail or even wholesale, that were completely done face to face, and they made it much more convenient for customers by providing some technological tools and internet access for discovering information and completing transactions much more efficiently. So think in terms of those 4 constituents of value. Can you do it better? Do you have a better way? Or if you have a business, is your complacency leaving you vulnerable to, again, a new entrant, somebody who thinks they can do it better than you? You're leaving, innovation on the table, so to speak. You're leaving a gap for someone to come in and do it better than you because you are complacent. You think that the way you've been doing it is going to continue to be successful. You think it's not broke. You don't have a particular motivation to fix something. You need to give some thought to whether somebody else is on the outside looking in and goes, you know what, I can do that better. There are better technologies. There are new ways of doing this. There is a way to make this more convenient. There is a way to drive the pricing down. You should be the one thinking of that, given your experience and the specialized knowledge you already have. You should have a leg up on an outsider doing that, but sometimes it's that fresh perspective, somebody from the outside who's looking at something going, it might even be someone on your team. Many of these innovations have come from within. They talk about the PayPal mafia and how many people outside of that organization went on to create really important technological companies and everything. Sometimes the talent within an organization can see how the resources of existing technology are being leveraged, and they come up with new ideas. So, that might be an example of pivoting or a completely new business or whatever. If you think you can do it better, you should be doing it better. Perpetual refinement is necessary. So that's your homework for today, is to consider some of these questions I asked you and do some inward reflection, some introspection, and think about, should you start a business based on one of these 3 reasons? Do you have passion? Do you have a new solution? And can you do it better than someone else is doing it? And then think about these things for those of you who have existing businesses. Are you applying your passions? Think about these questions. Are you applying your passions in the business? Is there somebody on the outside who's experiencing problems with your industry that you don't think of as problems necessarily, but someone else does? Talk. Ask your customers to give you feedback. What drives them nuts? Consider those negative reviews and feedback you've got that you think, well, that's outside of my control. We know that you don't want to focus on things outside of your control unless you can actually create a new product or service that solves that need, as others do continuously to start new businesses. Can you do it better? Can you do it better than somebody else who's doing a particular business and you can start a business, or can you do it better in your business? That's your homework assignment today, to think about these things, reflect on them, and how will you create a business or improve your existing business to make sure that it's not only viable, but sustainable, scalable, and can help you to accomplish all your personal objectives as well. And to the degree that any of these things elude you, or you feel that you have some weaknesses that are obvious to you, reach out to our company, reach out to BMI, and let us try to help you with some of the peripheral stuff so that you can focus on those things that you do best. I think that's where I want to leave it today. I hope you got something out of this, and this will cause you to reflect. That's the purpose of all of this. If you did, then I'd be really appreciative if you'd leave a comment, maybe ask a question, leave some sort of comment that we can all learn from, because we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.